So I run the Domestic Violence Bureau in the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office, and we're one of the largest domestic violence bureaus in the United States. We've also received the most funding under the Violence Against Women Act. We've received over $8 million, which has enabled us to do really critical work. I started in the Domestic Violence Bureau in 1997, and I have been prosecuting domestic violence cases from misdemeanor assaults to homicides for 20 years. For the past 3 years, I've been running the Bureau. So I've really seen the sea change that's taken place as a result of all that money coming in. We were, back in 1997, we were a really small bureau. We had a few prosecutors. We handle about 10,000 cases a year in Brooklyn of domestic violence, and that includes sexual assault in intimate partner relationships, misdemeanor assaults, and homicide cases. So what the money has enabled us to do over the years is form critical partnerships. The Healing Center is one of our partners. For about 20 years, we've been working very closely. So we are able to provide a wide array of services because we know survivors come into the criminal justice system, and we see a lot that they are telling us criminal prosecution is not our primary concern. We need help with counseling, civil legal services for family court, immigration. We deal with a lot of undocumented survivors of violence that need legal representation. So the money that we've received under VAWA has enabled us to form these critical partnerships. We have in the district attorney's office, we have a victim services unit, which is staffed with social workers, victim advocates, counselors. The money under VAWA has enabled, we have 4 social workers that are funded under the Violence Against Women Act. So the money for us is critical for us to do our work. Our counselors speak many different languages because we have a very, very diverse population here in Brooklyn, over 2.5 million people. A third of our population are immigrants. We have many different languages spoken here. So the ability to reach survivors that are from different parts of the world, speak different languages, is critical to our work in trying to end violence against women. If we were to lose this funding, we're talking about critical staff that we wouldn't have salaries to pay, and we would have to figure out other ways to fund the work. As it is, it's never enough money. We never have enough resources. I mean, our bureau is huge right now. We have 45 attorneys, and we could always use more to do our work. So that's the impact that it would have on us. And I want to say I started doing the work in 1997. We got funding from the Justice Department, Office of Violence Against Women, to start our Family Justice Center. We were one of 15 sites in the United States. We were the first family justice center in the city of New York. And it has been a sea change in terms of the delivery of services to survivors and our ability to keep survivors safe. I remember back from 1997 to 2005, a survivor would say, well, I need to speak to an immigration attorney, or I want counseling for my child, or I need a program to help me get job skills. I would be writing addresses and phone numbers on sheets of paper and ripping them off and sending people all over New York City. So the ability to access services was so difficult and time consuming, and people may not get money to get paid to take off from work. So people just weren't even accessing the services that were out there. Now we are the District Attorney's Office Domestic Violence Bureau and 23 partner agencies that make up the Family Justice Center are on one floor in the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. So if we're seeing a survivor and they're telling us about the different services they need, we just walk them down the hall. So that has been, it's just been, I can't even tell you about the ability to access those services, having it on one floor, what it's been like. And also, since we've been the largest recipient of funds under the Violence Against Women Act, in 2014, the Office of Violence Against Women held an anniversary celebration of the Violence Against Women Act here in Brooklyn, in our Brooklyn Supreme Court, and B. Hansen, who headed at the time the Office of Violence Against Women, spoke, and it was all different representatives that have received funding under the Violence Against Women Act, and we were talking about ways to improve the delivery of services and what kind of services, what we need. Also, in terms of training, the money that we've received, we send prosecutors to training all over the United States. We do training ourselves on best practices. We are seen as an international model. We host delegations from all over the world that come to see our domestic violence court parts, our 15th floor at the district attorney's office, how we operate, and to sit down and just have discussions. We have people coming from the Middle East, Africa, Asia, to see how we do things, from Europe. And I think that's what I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you.